How do you feel now? It felt good, didn't it, sweetie? Taehyung asked, holding In's gaze. The innocent girl fell silent for a moment, processing this brand new information, before giving a slow, quiet nod. It felt good, Oppa. But, aren't you grossed out, Taehyung Oppa? Why did you LC Kappa the place where I row _epsilon_epsilon? She asked naively, her curiosity completely overriding her embarrassment. It's precisely because I care about you so much that I wanted to make you feel good, Taehyung replied smoothly. And besides, this isn't just where you row _epsilon_epsilon. This is the opening where a row _epsilon_eta_r goes, he murmured, his F. Oyank, YN whimpered at the sudden to_c_n. What's a row _epsilon_eta_r, Oppa? She asked innocently. Taehyung smiled fondly, a sly thought crossing his mind. Time for a little anatomy lesson. Want to see it in to_c_n it? The naive girl nodded eagerly, her eyes lighting up. Come here, baby. Taehyung reached for In's waist and pulled her back onto his lap. With hands that trembled ever so slightly, Taehyung unzipped his trousers. As it happened, he wasn't wearing any partial differential epsilon AWAA, causing his rigid length to spring free instantly. This is called a row _epsilon_eta_r, sweetie, Taehyung said, guiding In's hesitant hand to wrap around his hardened member. Sweetheart, you must never look at something like this on anyone else. You are only allowed to see mine, and you are only allowed to to_c_n mine. Do you understand? Taehyung issued the warning with a profound seriousness, as if delivering a sacred commandment. The innocent girl simply nodded, her eyes completely locked onto his exposed length. Taehyung swallowed a heavy groan when YN, driven by sheer curiosity, began to squeeze an r_epsilon him. Ah, my baby, stop squeezing it, Taehyung gasped out, quickly tucking himself back into his trousers and doing up the zipper. He knew he couldn't afford to completely lose control right now. Let's get you cleaned up properly first, sweetie. After that, Oppa will take you to the mall, okay? You can buy whatever you want, it's my treat. Hearing this, the innocent girl blinked in pure excitement. Really, Oppa? YN looked up at him, her eyes sparkling. Taehyung smiled warmly, nodding as he pressed another soft kiss to her forehead and gently _epsilon partial differential her cheek. Yes, sweetheart. Now go on, let's get ready. The next day, the afternoon sun in Seoul blazed fiercely, as if determined to show its dominance over the city. The blue sky above the towering skyscrapers was completely clear. Around 2 in the afternoon, Taehyung made a point to clear his packed schedule at the company just to pick YN up from campus. Despite being a freshman, YN was enrolled in one of the country's top universities, proof that beneath her immense innocence lay an academic brilliance that deserved serious praise. Taehyung's luxury sports car purred to a halt as he parked right in front of the Faculty of Economics, where YN studied. He reached for his phone to call her, but his gaze was instantly drawn toward the faculty building's entrance. He saw YN walking out. However, what immediately caught his eye and set off alarm bells in his head was the presence of a young guy around her age. The young man was tall, well-built, and strikingly handsome, the exact type of guy who would easily turn heads. He was clearly trying very hard to get close to YN. What is your problem, Yunjun? I already told you, I'm being picked up. YN said, her voice laced with irritation. If there was one thing she absolutely detested, it was being forced into something. Beside her, her best friend, Daye, had already thrown her hands up, looking ready for a fight. Yeah, seriously, Yunjun. Can you stop bothering YN? Daye snapped, putting her hands on her hips and glaring at the boy with utter disdain. In's brother is terrifying, and taehyung oppa is just as fiercely protective. Do you want your head ripped off your shoulders, huh? Stay out of this. I'm talking to YN, not you, Yunjun shot back curtly, completely dismissing Daye. He turned his focus back to YN. YN, just this once, let me take you home, please. Yunjun begged, softening his voice into a plea. I can't, Yunjun, YN was cut off. Baby. The heavy, deep voice suddenly shattered the tension. The three of them turned around in unison. Taehyung was standing just a few paces away. His usually warm face had gone cold, expressionless, radiating a menacing aura. The dark energy rolling off him instantly cloaked the surrounding area. Taehyung oppa, YN exclaimed, her eyes lighting up instantly. She immediately rushed over to him, completely forgetting about Yunjun and Daye, and threw her arms tightly around him. YN always felt safest in Taehyung's embrace. Taehyung returned the hug briefly, pressing a swift kiss to her forehead, before fixing his sharp, lethal gaze back on the young man in front of him. His eyes felt like daggers. Do you have a problem with YN? Taehyung asked, his voice low and intensely intimidating. Yunjun swallowed hard, his legs locking up. He opened his mouth to answer, but Daye beat him to the punch. He does, oppa. He's trying to force YN to go home with him, even though YN already said no. Daye ratted him out, throwing Yunjun a smug glare. I just wanted to give YN a ride home, Yunjun stammered nervously, completely avoiding Taehyung's eyes. Taehyung took a step forward, closing the distance between them. Listen to me very carefully, Taehyung hissed. Never go near YN again. If I catch you anywhere near her after today, you will regret it. The threat was delivered with a terrifying, quiet calm that left Yunjun completely frozen. Without another word, Taehyung took In's hand and guided her away from the spot. Daye, come on, YN called out to her friend. Daye nodded triumphantly. She turned back to Yunjun and stuck her tongue out, mocking him, before rushing after YN and climbing into Taehyung's car. Aish! Yunjun groaned, running his hands through his hair in sheer frustration. He had just been threatened and utterly humiliated in front of his peers. After dropping Daye off, and giving her a stern, parting warning never to bring up the big N Thai test to YN ever again, Taehyung continued driving back to the mansion. Are you going back to the office, oppa? YN asked once the car came to a halt in front of the estate. Her face had instantly clouded over with sadness. Yes, sweetie, Taehyung replied softly. He unbuckled his seatbelt, then leaned over to help undo hers. Taehyung stepped out of the car, walked around the hood, and opened the passenger door for YN. Taking her by the hand, he guided her inside the mansion. Go take a shower first, then have some lunch, okay? Oppa has to head to the office for a bit, Taehyung said, pressing a gentle kiss to her cheek. YN remained quiet, her lips pulling into a tight pout. After everything that had happened yesterday, she had become noticeably more clingy and attached to him. Oppa will be quick, sweetie, I promise. Don't look so sad, Taehyung teased, giving her chubby cheek an affectionate pinch. YN gave a slow nod, then suddenly threw her arms around Taehyung, holding him tight. Taehyung smiled, wrapping his arms securely around his girl. Sweetheart, you still remember what I told you, right? Taehyung's tone shifted back to his serious register. Don't get close to any other guys on campus. If it's strictly for class, that's fine. But if someone deliberately tries to hit on you, you have to stay away. Understood? Yes, oppa, I remember. Yunho oppa always tells me the same thing anyway, she grumbled, puckering her lips. Why are you and Yunho oppa always so scary whenever a guy tries to talk to me? Taehyung stared deep into In's eyes, forcing a protective, reassuring smile. Because I care about you too much. I won't let anyone hurt my baby. YN nodded quickly, entirely convinced. Yeah, I get it, Oppa. Good girl. Taehyung pressed a swift kiss to her forehead. I'm heading out now, sweetie. I won't be long. Tonight, we'll have a movie night at home, okay? Once he made sure YN was smiling again, Taehyung rushed back out to his car and drove toward his office. Throughout the entire drive, Yeonjun's face lingered in his mind. Taehyung knew that his obsession and protectiveness over YN had already crossed a dangerous line. Choi YN belonged to him, and anyone who dared to get close to her would have to answer to him directly. That evening, the atmosphere inside Taehyung's mansion was warm and quiet after dinner. Taehyung guided YN into his spacious bedroom. The walls were lined with luxurious dark wood paneling, and the dim lighting created an intensely intimate setting. The two of them lay down on the plush king-size bed, browsing for a movie to watch, though Taehyung's focus had completely shifted from the screen to the girl curled up in his arms. Taehyung held YN tightly, pressing a soft kiss to her forehead. After a few moments, he looked down at her face. His brows furrowed slightly when he noticed her lips pulled into a prominent pout. Why is that pretty mouth pouting so much, baby? What's wrong, Taehyung asked softly, gently caressing her cheek. I'm upset, Oppa, YN whined clingily, resting her head against his chest. Upset about what, sweetie? Taehyung asked, genuinely amused. I called Daye earlier. I wanted her to come over and sleep here, Oppa, but she said she couldn't. She's staying over at her boyfriend's apartment instead, YN grumbled. Staying at her boyfriend's apartment. Taehyung lifted an eyebrow. He had already expected as much. YN nodded. Then, she tilted her head up, looking at Taehyung with wide, naive eyes. Daye said her parents just went out of town, so she's taking the opportunity to stay at his place. She also told me not to disturb her because she's going to be busy all night. Mach 8 and 9 Alpha Bab, YN explained with absolute, unfiltered innocence. Taehyung shook his head. He was honestly appalled by the lifestyle of In's friend. However, he couldn't deny that he owed Daye a debt of gratitude. Without even realizing it, Daye had just opened the floodgates for him to take his relationship with YN to the next level. Oppa, how exactly do you epsilon alpha bab? YN asked, her eyes burning with limitless curiosity. Do you really want to know how? Taehyung asked suddenly, his voice dropping into a deeper, raspy register. YN nodded enthusiastically. To do it, the ρ_epsilon_eta_r has to go inside the ρ_upsilon_s_y, Taehyung answered bluntly, pulling no punches. The innocent girl blinked. So you mean Daye's boyfriend is going to put his ρ_epsilon_eta_r inside her? Taehyung nodded. YN frowned. She sat up slightly, staring at Taehyung with a thoroughly bewildered expression. The opening is so small, YN remarked in wonder, pointing at herself. How can a ρ_epsilon_eta_r even get in there? If Daye's boyfriend is as big as you, Taehyung Oppa, won't it rip the opening apart? She asked, genuinely curious. Taehyung let out a low chuckle, completely captivated by her combination of extreme innocence and sharp observation. Of course it fits, sweetie, but it does hurt a little bit at the very beginning. Want to try it, Oyank, try testing it, Oppa, YN whimpered. Her naive challenge shattered the last of Taehyung's restraint. Taehyung immediately sat up. He stripped out of his trousers, then pulled YN closer to the edge of the mattress, bringing his rigid, fully alpha AO upsilon R epsilon partial differential length flush against her opening. I don't think it'll fit, Oppa, YN whispered, her eyes locked onto his member as it began to press against her. It'll fit, sweetheart, Taehyung murmured, anchoring himself over her. Positioning himself perfectly, he began to push his length a/r partial differential epsilon her. Ah, it hurts. Yn shrieked, bursting into heavy tears. Hang in there, sweetie. Taehyung groaned, caught in a suffocating wave of intense rho lar epsilon and sharp guilt, yet he kept pushing forward, forcing himself a/r partial differential epsilon. Intel. Slide. He sank all the way in. Yn sobbed uncontrollably. Hicks, hicks, hicks. It hurts so bad, Oppa. Shish, shish. It always hurts the first time it goes in, sweetie. But it won't hurt after a while. In fact, it's going to feel amazing, Taehyung cooed, soothing her. He squeezed his eyes shut, an overwhelming wave of profound satisfaction washing over his entire beta-0d. I finally put myself a/r partial differential epsilon you, baby. Ah, you're squeezing me so t. 9ent, sweetheart, Taehyung groaned inwardly. An hour later, and heavy silence blanketed Taehyung's grand bedroom. The only sound was the faint hum of the air conditioner, blending with the steady heartbeats of two people still drifting in the afterglow of a passionate storm. Taehyung gazed down at YN, who was fast asleep in his arms. Her face looked incredibly peaceful, as though the worries of the world had never touched her. They were still entangled in absolute eta Tm alpha C, their skin brushed against each other without any barriers, with only a thick silk duvet shielding their V_alpha_A_epsilon beta 0 ds from the night air. I love you, baby, Taehyung whispered, his voice barely a breath against the quiet room. He pressed a long kiss to her forehead, inhaling the scent of her hair that had become an addiction he couldn't break. Taehyung took a deep, slow breath. Beneath the overwhelming wave of satisfaction that flooded him, a small, calculating thought began to nudge at his logic. He had never expected to reach this stage, taking ins via 9N.T without any official status between them. But to Taehyung, this wasn't just about lust. This was a strategy. He knew exactly what kind of man Yunho was. His best friend was fiercely, almost obsessively protective of his little sister. If Taehyung were to approach him the traditional way and ask for her hand in marriage, Yunho would either laugh it off or fly into a violent rage, considering how young YN still was. Taehyung was acutely aware that Yunho would never hand over his only prized possession that easily. I'm sorry, Yunho, but you don't need to worry. I will take full responsibility, and your sister will be happy with me. I'll be an even better protector for her, Taehyung thought, his eyes hardening with grim determination into the darkness of the room. He had irrevocably bound In's destiny to his own that very night. Two months later, the hospital corridor, typically quiet and sterile, felt as though it were vibrating under the frantic stomp of leather dress shoes. Choi Yunho was running with every ounce of strength he had left, his face deathly pale as if all the blood had been drained from his body. His heart hammered violently against his ribs, creating a painful, deafening echo in his ears. About an hour ago, right in the middle of a crucial board of directors meeting, he had received a phone call from Daye. Her voice had been broken by tears as she informed him that YN had collapsed during a lecture. In that exact moment, Yunho's world shattered. Completely ignoring the bewildered stares of his business partners, he sprinted out of the office, dumping all his responsibilities onto his two trusted secretaries, Park Sohee and Juna. Daye, who had been sitting dejectedly outside In's hospital room, instantly stood up straight the moment she saw Yunho's disheveled figure. His hair was a mess, and his dress shirt was soaked in a cold sweat. Yunho oppa, Daye called out, her voice trembling. YN, how is she? Why did she faint? Did she skip a meal? Is she overworked? Yunho fired the questions in rapid succession, his voice rising from uncontrollable panic. It's. Oh oppa. Daye looked down, her tongue completely tied. How on earth was she supposed to tell a notoriously terrifying older brother that his innocent little sister was now carrying another life in her womb? Before Yunho could press her any further, a middle-aged doctor stepped out of the room. Are you the guardian of the patient, Choi YN? Yes, doctor. I'm her brother. How is my sister? What's wrong with her? The doctor sighed softly, gesturing for Yunho to follow him. Please follow me to my office for a moment, the doctor requested, his expression heavy and serious. Inside the room, which smelled strongly of antiseptic, the doctor placed a medical file down on the desk. All right, I'll get straight to the point. Your sister's physical condition is severely depleted. This is quite common due to the drastic hormonal shifts that come with pregnancy. However, the main concern is that her uterus is relatively weak. We strongly advise that Choi YN undergoes strict, total bed rest for the upcoming week. We have already prepared a medical leave certificate for her university. DEG. The world seemed to stop spinning for Yunho. A violent ringing filled his ears. What, doctor? What did you just say? My sister. Your sister is pregnant, sir. The pregnancy is already in its 8th week, the doctor stated in a professional yet sympathetic tone. Those words slammed into Yunho's chest like a sledgehammer, shattering his ribs. He shook his head weakly, his eyes staring blankly at the medical leave certificate sitting on the desk. That's impossible. YN has never been close to any guy. She only goes to class and comes straight home. But in the dead center of his shock, a single name flashed across his mind like a strike of lightning. Kim Taehyung. The only person he had ever trusted to look after YN whenever he was out of town. The only man who frequently interacted with YN completely outside of his supervision. A cold, lethal fury began to crawl through Yunho's veins. If Taehyung was truly the culprit, their friendship would end in bloodshed.